Switchblades.tv presents Roadsideimports.com presents
Benchmade should be ashamed of themselves. Benchmade markets the Infidel OTF for use by police as well as military. To anyone not familiar with OTFs, making a claim that a knife, never mind any OTF, can be relied upon when your life may be at risk is a profound statement, to say the least. For Benchmade to advertise the Infidel knife to be used for law enforcement and the military is completely without foundation. The Infidel is not in the same league as a $60 AKC Concord. The design of the Infidel is lacking, with very small shears and even smaller leaf springs. The blade is completely sandwiched between two thin pieces of metal which would jam even at the thought of sand or dirt because there is no place for it to escape. To be fair, no OTF should be used for a military tactical knife. Only a heavy, large, fixed blade is something a Marine or Airborne Ranger would even consider for combat. As soon as the Infidel is fired, disappointment will set in. You will not be impressed with its power. I was surprised at the lack of force that this overpriced piece of shit has. Then when opened, you will begin to see the design of the firing mechanism. Opening the Infidel, this is where disappointment became even greater. The firing mechanism was not just a sad letdown, but extremely pitiful. As far as a high-priced and well-designed OTF goes, this can't even compete with a $60 AKC model. So the $460 price tag that Benchmade puts on it is outrageous. The blade is fired and retracted by two coil springs that a single steel pin holds in place. A piece of thin flat metal that has four angled ends houses the center rod and coil springs. This is all connected directly to the firing button and travels with each movement of the button. This is also the reason there is such a long travel and the needed extra push to the button to fire and retract the blade, more so than most OTF models. The springs are compressed when force is applied to the button. As the button is moved forward to fire the blade, it compresses the forward spring until two of the four angled ends of the flat metal trips the rear shears, releasing the blade. There are four shears. Shears are what keeps the blade locked out and holds the blade in. These shears are a pitiful 1 millimeter thick. Not only are the shears very thin, but they are held by 6 extremely thin leaf springs, 3 on each side. Each of these leaf springs are barely a ½ millimeter thick. The Infidel is held together by 12 torque screws, 6 on each side. All their hardware is held in each half. The shears are in the bottom half, springs and the firing catch housed in the top half. A closer look at the very thin shears, barely a millimeter thick, and the 6 leaf springs that hold the shears out to lock the blade, each are less than ½ millimeter thick. Bottom line, the Infidel is aggressive looking, but sadly, it's a piece of shit. And for Benchmade to advertise this knife to be used for law enforcement and military is completely utter bullshit and doesn't have any foundation, and they should be ashamed of themselves for marketing this to such individuals.
Benchmade Customer Service, this is Ty. How can I help you?
Yes. For the dealers, you have to have a store front, right?
Correct.
And I want to know, do you guys set the retail price so that distributors can't undercut each other?
We do have a retail cost. We have like a mass pricing as well.
So they're not allowed to sell the products below the cost that you set, correct?
Correct. The mass price. Distributors get it at a different cost than our dealers do. They buy in bulk, and therefore they get a bigger discount.
You sell your products online at your store.
At retail cost, yes.
At retail cost. But if you distribute to other wholesalers who undercut everybody else, even undercutting your price, that's against your policy, right?
They can sell it for less than what the retail cost is.
Of what anybody else is even offering.
They can sell it up to our map pricing under the retail cost.
Of what your map price, that's the ultimate minimum of what you can sell it at, is your map pricing.
We don't show our map pricing anywhere. That's just between the contract between the dealers and us. If they're selling it under our map pricing, then they're not supposed to do that. But we do keep an eye on, all their pricing and whatnot.
So I mean, what they do is they put on there that their price is too low to show. They don't put the prices on their online stores. They just say that it's too low to show.
Okay, and our dealers.
So that's kind of like getting around the rules of your map pricing.
Our dealers have to have storefront. If they're an online store, then they're not one of our dealers.
Well, if they have an online store and they are a storefront, then that's not necessarily
who is it,
true.
so that I can go look at to see what it is that you're talking about?
They put all the prices for every other product that they sell, but then when it comes to your products, it says that the price is too low to show. And then they make you add it to the cart, and then when you add it to the cart, it's below cost.
Okay, well, I'll have somebody check into it for you.
All right.
Alright, geez, I'm not talking shite. Now I'm Michael Owen to Charlie Chalk, like I should because arseholes on the internet say they can't understand me. So GTF to your Benchmade. The company's run by a bunch of fannies, and all they do is talk pure pish. They bully small knife makers and sellers in the US and sell junk to Americans. 10 all-Americans like to buy junk. The brainwashed ones, of course. I remember I can still talk my native language, and only a few outsiders gonna understand. What the bloody hell we changed Scott's Charlie Chalk. Get elephants trunk in a boozer sometime in Glasgow. And Kayla, cause all our Scots are a wee bit chicken oriental when it comes to knives. We're all a bunch of knife chain maniacs. Sorted, mate. He's off his head. Quick, bash that net in his head. Benchmade's a right cunt funny bastard. Nah, bother. Come to Glasgow and we'll set about ya.
Got questions? I got answers. Email me at jb@roadsideimports.com